So as you guys know, I've been a YouTuber for about 5 years now, and a lot of YouTuber tips that they give out there is, fake it till you make it. Or I guess this is just like a general business tip. A lot of people talk about if you want to get to a level of success, sometimes you have to fake it till you make it. And that is something that I have tried to implement in like every which way under the sun. And it is something that actually was damaging to me, and I've actually found a more effective way to do it. I actually figured out that actually being what it is you want to be is way more effective than faking it till you make it. Fake it till you make it, I think in some ways creates imposter syndrome, because you know deep down in your heart that it's actually fake. But if you actually become the things that you want to be, I don't know, you embody it better, and just life just feels a lot better. So I'm going to be talking about 4 things that I stopped faking till I make it and actually became those things, and life's just been so much better. Hey there, my handsome and pretty little Cobras, and welcome back to the Cobra's Nest. For those of you who are new, my name is Mignon Cobra and I make minimalism videos. Today's video is going to be stop faking it till you make it. That is a shitty way to live. So without further ado, let's just get into the video. Let's get it, let's go. Woo. Okay, so number 1, be fit. So I know that a lot of people, this is really common, a lot of people are, I don't want to bash on people, but I have seen that it is common practice in the influencer world to just Photoshop your body, and you can eat whatever you want. Who cares what your body actually looks like? You have Facetune for that. And I'm not laughing and smiling because I'm talking down to them. I too have face altered using Facetune and mAkE and stuff like that. I'm not a stranger to these things. I'm not a hypocrite, and I'm not bashing on other people. I'm using myself as the example for these things. But I realized that photoshopping yourself, if you've actually done it, it's actually pretty depressing. I don't know what the science is behind it. I am not a scientist. I'm just here to bring to the table experiences that I've had in hopes that I can help somebody else out. But when I was actually fit, I remember the period of time where I was most happy with my body was when I reached 100 pounds. I know that aesthetically, like, it may have looked good. Health-wise, I was just a wreck. But let's just say, that was the only time I never had to Photoshop my body, and it looked really good. And so I realized that, like, I felt really happy when I would look at the picture. I knew and thought to myself, that's actually what I look like. When I would Photoshop myself, I felt like, yeah, like, not only am I like lying to other people, but like essentially like I was lying to myself. I knew when I looked at that picture, I didn't actually look like that. And I was like, oh, I don't feel good. This doesn't feel good. So I have found for my own mental health, I'd rather invest the time in actually working out and being happy in what my body actually looks like. And then I feel like I'm not lying to myself. And that's the most important thing. So I don't Photoshop my body anymore. I literally I look like exactly what I look like, and it feels amazing because it's like, yeah, I worked for that, I earned that, that body is mine, and it looks that way because I take care of myself and I work out. Okay, number 2, be rich. I think nothing new to anybody. We all know that a lot of people fake it till you make it, fake or put on a certain air on social media that they have a certain type of lifestyle when they actually don't. Something that's really helped me a lot was I used to kind of try that narrative. I have made videos talking about how much I have without really disclosing how much I have. But the truth is, I told myself, just stop. You don't need to prove to other people that you're rich. Like, if you're actually rich, you're actually rich. You don't need to prove anything to anybody. And so what I started to do was, instead of trying to put on a show on the internet, like, I have this and I have that, I actually started to put that money towards my finances, and I'm in a really good place, financially. Like, I'm not going to sit here and brag. Like, I'm sure where I am is probably nothing impressive to anybody, but I get that feeling I feel rich. And that's the most important thing to me. Like, my finances are like impeccable. Like, when I look at my finances, I feel a deep sense of pride and I feel very happy. And I don't know, I feel like I don't need to showboat anymore. I actually feel like I no longer need to pretend to be rich, because like I feel like I'm rich, and like that's the most important thing. I stopped doing stupid stuff like needing to buy brand names or needing to do this, needing to do that to tell other people, hey, I'm rich, when in reality I may or may not necessarily be rich. But now that I actually feel rich, there's a lot of things that I feel like I actually do from the perspective of like, when we talk about like what would a rich person do, so like if you were actually rich, what would you actually do? And so that is actually how I operate now. Like, when I buy products, I'm like, ew, that is like bad quality, I'm not gonna buy that, I'm not spending my money on that, because I finally feel like my self-worth is pretty high, because I feel like, I got money, I don't actually need to buy that. Which is a really nice feeling. And it's like, I'm not faking it anymore. Like, it's like I actually am. Just like, you don't have to fake being like fit. Like, if you were actually fit, how would you actually behave? It's like, it's really different when you actually are something as opposed to when you're trying to pretend to be something. Because when you actually are it, you operate from the thought process of actually being that, as opposed to wondering what a person who was that would do, as opposed to actually being that person. Okay, number 3, being successful. Being successful is something that I would fake and I would try to pretend and boast bigger than I actually was. Now I do the opposite. Now I actually act pretty humble and I downplay my successes because I realized that like if you were actually successful, would you really want to be boasting? No, it's very unattractive. It doesn't look good. I actually stopped trying to fake being successful and I was like, let's actually be successful. And I started to ask myself, in my ideal life, what would I do that I considered would be Nat's most successful life? And so I try to implement that. So things that I do now is like I read a lot more books, I work out, I stay off social media more than I have to, and I feel like I'm living like my rich best life, and it's just been really good. And I feel like I finally have success, and I feel like a lot of metrics that other people will consider success are no longer my metrics. And so I feel like I'm finally winning in life, which is at the end of the day, isn't that what we wanted when we wanted to be successful? To just feel like we're winning. So that's what I do now. I don't try to fake my success for others. Like now I'm like, I'm good. I don't need your validation. And the last one, being smart. I used to try to think I was like super clever, and I used to try to put on a show, especially on my YouTube channel, about like how enlightened I was with my minimalism. I realized now that nobody's really that impressed, and instead now what I do is I just share my own personal journey of my minimalism and things that have resonated with me or kind of left an impact on me, and I just feel like, oh, this was really useful. This helped me a lot, and so I just share it with you guys. And if it helps somebody else out, I think that's awesome. I just feel like everybody has like a pretty big like bullshit sensor. I think we can all tell when someone's full of shit, and I don't feel like doing that anymore. I think it's just, at the end of the day, I just don't seek external validation anymore. If other people think I'm smart, lovely, but I think I'm smart, and I think that is enough. And then once you're actually like, I don't know, if you actually feel like you're smart, you no longer feel like you need to prove it. I think people who feel like they're not smart feel like they need to prove it. When you are something, you genuinely embody that, you don't need to show it off to anybody, because like you know it's real, and like that's enough. So I hope that this might have helped anybody else out. I think that becoming what you want to be is probably more useful than pretending to be that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.